You are listening to a previously recorded episode of Luxe Life Discovered. This week we delve into the intriguing world of a radio show host. Brian Rust's style is straightforward, a little blunt with a hint of sarcasm and a whole lot of laughter. Join us on Luxe Life Discovered with hosts Rick Steiner and Shannon Richmond.
Well, Brian Rust with the Brian Rust Show. We are glad to have you in studio today.
Well, thank you guys for having me in.
Well, good. So we were talking a little bit before we went on air, but give us a little background about your history, like how you ended up in Panama City Beach, and we'll start from there.
Okay. My venture to Panama City Beach started. I'm horrible with math. It was like 2007, I think it was. So what was that, like 15, 16 years? It's been a while. I came here to be the program director for Island 106 over with Magic Broadcasting. And that's actually what brought me here. And I decided I liked it too much and didn't leave. So that's what got me here.
Was it the job, the beach, or a combination of everything?
It wasn't the job that kept me here. As a matter of fact, I did the job here and in radio you do this. I've been in it for 31 years, but you have this tendency to, your goal is always to reach that next spot.
Right.
So, most of my career was a year here, a year and a half there, and that's kind of what I did. So that was almost the intention until after I left the company, and then I was like, I don't want to move. I kind of like the area. So I had a lot of other options to stay in the business, and so that's kind of the short of that story.
And so previously, before the talk show started, you were mainly like DJ. What all work were you doing at that point?
Yeah, throughout most of my career, the vast majority of my career in broadcasting was actually in programming management, and then on the air too, because you had to do both. But I did do on the air. I've been in several big cities. I spent a lot of time doing programming and operational management. And talk has always been one of those things I've loved and wanted to do. And I programmed news talk stations. I did a little bit of it here and there. But I really didn't get full on into it until the show that I'm doing now.
And your show, I listened to it on the way in this morning, and you have some interesting guests on your show. You've had an interesting lineup previously. Yeah. So what's the reaction to people about your show? I'm sure you get a range.
I do. It's really neat. And the thing when it comes to broadcasting people, they usually have huge egos. And I fully admit that, at a certain point in my career, I was like, whenever you'd get a little bit of success, you'd be like, yeah, that's right, I'm the man. And maybe it's age or something. I don't know what it is, but I've changed. And now for me, it's super humbling to see the success of the show. It's like I can't go anywhere without somebody saying that they heard something on the show or they love the show or whatever. I went to the debates not too long ago, and it seemed like I was the biggest celebrity in the place, and it was weird for me. And even though I've been there, done that, for me, doing this show, it's very humbling for me to hear the success and to see where we've gone. It's kind of neat.
It's awesome. So you have a lot of repeat callers that you know by first name when they call in.
Yep.
But how do you figure out what you're going to talk about each day? Because every day I can't wait to listen so I can hear, oh my gosh, what's going on? I go straight to your show, and then I know what's going on in the community.
Right. Yeah. It's weird because people go, how do you get all this? Because I talk about so much stuff all the time. And I'm constantly show prepping, like constantly. I mean, my phone, I've already felt it vibrate a couple of times in my pocket, so I know that there's an email or something news-wise. Mm-hmm. So I'm always just kind of going through and seeing things. And, believe it or not, most talk shows, it's very scheduled, between this time and this time, this is what we're talking about. And I have a tendency to roll with it. So it can be whatever's off the top of my head, whatever the big issue is during the day, maybe something that a caller starts off with. So, it varies. It's a circus in my head. It's a scary place to be, but it comes out okay.
And as you saw this morning, this is a circus here. Sometimes, we're on a schedule, but
that's okay.
Sometimes the schedule changes.
Yeah. Oh, wait, are you talking about the ego?
Well, one of the things in broadcasting that I've instilled in myself is that if you're not 5 minutes early, you're late. So it's one of those things in broadcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were giving you a hard time.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the hard time. But what I love the most is that it doesn't matter who calls in. You could talk on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh, how do you know about that? And how do you know about that? But they call in and ask a question. You know the answer already.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of work in the back to do to know all that.
There's a lot of stuff rolling around in my head. Like I said, it's a scary place to be sometimes.
So when you have someone that calls in that totally disagrees with anything that you said, it wants to be kind of like confrontational. How do you handle that?
You know, the great thing about my audience that listens to the show, and it's a wide audience too.
It is.
Typically, you think talk radio, oh, it's the old white guy and that's it. No, that's not the case. I mean, I've got everybody from teenagers to 80-year-old men and women, and I mean, it's all over the place. And my audience is not very confrontational. I do have people that will call up and disagree with me, and I love that because it's all part of the conversation, and you really have to have that openness. And I like when somebody comes at me with a different opinion about something, because otherwise it's kind of boring.
I like how you listen to both sides, because somebody
do.
will call to disagree with the last caller, and then you kind of play mediator, but you're able to let them both say what they're saying.
Having a conversation.
That's right. It's not screaming and hanging up.
Yeah. That's just talk radio that I just don't like. I don't like that talking over each other, screaming at each other, hating each other for difference of opinions, because we all have differences of opinions. So that's what I like about the show is getting a little bit of that.
How long have you been doing this show?
This show, the morning show, has been going on for just about 2 years. But I was also doing the Saturday show for a little while.
I remember that.
Yeah. I got dragged back into this. So.
So from where you started to now, how much have you grown?
Actually, I think I've shrunk. I think I started off at 5'11". I'm at 5'10" now. I don't know what happened. But no, the show took off.
Yeah.
It really did. It took off way further than my expectations. I wasn't anticipating that. It's interesting now because I have congressmen, both of our senators, they call me to be on the show.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I have a lot of that now. So it's again, it's very humbling. And it's interesting to see how much it's gone, because when the show started off, it would be one of those, hey, can you come on the show? And then they get on, and now it's at a point where, people are always asking me to be on. I've got a lot of the very powerful people within the town that will tell other people, hey, you need to be on the show.
Yeah.
And there's usually no argument about it. So it's grown a lot, and it's really kind of cool to see.
And isn't it funny how people recognize, like when I saw your name on the roster for the Beach Chamber Golf Tournament, I'm like, Brian Russ is going to be there. I'm telling my husband, the guy that we listen to every morning, he's going to be at the golf tournament. And I said, I'm going to find him. So I'm going through all the crowd. I'm like, Brian's over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's neat when somebody recognizes you.
Yeah.
It's for me now. Again, there's something about this show that for me it's different from what my career has been. Before a lot of my career was pre-internet. I mean, we had the internet, but the social media aspect, we had MySpace, and that was about it. So very few people actually would recognize me. A lot of times it'd be you'd go somewhere and they'd go, your voice sounds familiar. And that's kind of how they would recognize you. But it's neat to see how it happens now.
Yeah, it sure is.
So what topic, of course, if it's been 2.5 years, during COVID, during everything that's going on in our country lately, what has been like one of the toughest topics to discuss on your show? Or is there one?
The toughest topics. I guess it would determine how you would define.
How about
tough.
most uncomfortable?
Yeah.
For you?
For me, nothing's uncomfortable.
Okay.
I have.
You really have to be like that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And my biggest problem is I don't normally have a filter in real life. So there's a lot of things that I cover where it's like.
So radio's filtered? You don't.
It's a filtered version of me, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, which says a lot if you listen to the show often.
Right,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. So there really hasn't been a topic in particular that has been toughest. I think the one for me that has been emotionally the toughest is any time that I would talk about my kidney transplant and the donor. That's one that that hits me hard, and it's tough for me to get through. Other than that, I mean, I don't care. I'll talk about anything. Nothing bothers me.
All right. Well, let me ask you about that because I wasn't aware of that. So when did this take place?
6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
you want to talk about that at all, or because now that you brought that up, then it's like the donor part.
Yeah.
Have you met the donor?
No, unfortunately, it was a deceased donor.
Oh, okay.
It was a young woman who, and I don't actually know too much about her, but she was late teens, early 20s, and she ended up being a perfect match for me. And
Wow.
it's this. The whole story is very cool, and it's probably a podcast in itself, and some tissue.
Yeah, and some tissue.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, that's neat, and how neat of her family to follow through with the organ donor.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
is.
Because I think we've all, I know Debbie and I've talked about it before, we've never made the actual, where you do it on the back of your license, that type of thing, or made it official. So I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
But the follow through is not there.
Yeah.
And of course, at that time, that's a hard topic to discuss with the family. So, well, that's neat though. So we'll table that for another time.
Yeah, that's a whole other that's a whole other podcast. You can have a lot of fun with that one.
Oh yeah. So outside of radio, what do you do besides research?
I do a lot of research. Actually, recently I just left a company that I had been at for like 9 years. So my days used to be literally 15-hour days, like 7 days a week. So I worked like crazy.
Wow.
Right now I've been taking it a little bit easy, which has been kind of nice.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of starting a company. That I'll probably end up doing 15 hours a day again. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm just kind of relaxing, enjoying doing the show. This is one of 2 shows that I actually do on a daily basis.
What's the other show?
The other show is it's a top 40 music show that I do in upstate New York. So
see, look, you can be here and see anywhere.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a show that I've done for 21 years and I've never been there.
Really?
Is that right?
Yeah.
And they have no clue, probably.
Probably not.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you take phone calls?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's the
You'd be
magic
like,
of radio.
hello.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Okay, fun fact.
Yeah.
And you recorded at your station? Or
No, I have a studio at home.
I was going to say.
Because I also do a lot of voiceover work too. So
Okay.
I'll be caught doing that a lot.
Man.
So being in Panama City Beach, and see, that's what I'm trying to, that's part of the podcast, getting people to understand how much talent is here.
Oh,
and
there's a
that
lot.
it's not just confined to this area.
Mm-hmm.
So you're here, but you still have a show that's in New York that
Yep.
you've done for 21 years. Voiceover work, who is that nationally as well?
That particular show?
Well, no, for all your voiceover.
Oh yeah. I do voiceovers for things all around the country. I've done national ad campaigns. I've done things for big cities, little cities. Whoever hires me, I read the script.
How do they find you? Do they find you because of your show?
No, actually, there's a few agencies that I work with
Okay.
that usually send me some stuff, or it's just people that I've worked with for a very long time.
They're like, you sound good. You do this.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's important because when you're trying to promote a certain show, certain segment, it is important to have the right voiceover
Yeah.
for that. So,
Yeah, and there's a lot of bad ones out there.
well, that'd be like if
really
I
are.
tried to do it.
I haven't gotten any phone calls. Have you?
And I won't. 'Cause, it's like, and you're used to your voice on the radio, but like when we started doing this, it's like, it's so
I don't even recognize my voice half the time. I've been in places where people go, "Hey, was that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." Yeah.
I remember that song. Yeah. That's great. Well, so what's next for you? How far down the road do you look for what you?
Most of the time tomorrow,
Yeah.
because my life is so busy. There's a lot of things. I mean, we've myself and a few people have been talking a lot about the show, and we are in hopes talking with maybe making it a little bit bigger.
Ooh.
That's one of the goals that we have. So we'll see. I mean,
Like a bigger reach?
yeah.
Okay.
Much bigger reach.
Okay. Oh,
so-
I think I understand syndication.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
there's some talk about the S word with the show, which will be very cool. I mean, as it is right now, the live stream that comes from the station plus the podcast, it's heard all around the world.
Really?
There's a count where the podcast alone is downloaded in 22 different states.
Wow.
in about 13 different countries. So it's kind of neat.
That's crazy.
When you started the show, what were your expectations?
Well, when I started the show, I was kind of thrusted into it, so I really didn't have any expectations. And then when it started, it was just give me something to do, to talk a little bit. And it is just, like I said before, it's just grown tremendously.
Well, you've hit some major topics that are relevant to so many people. And I think that's probably that, along with the way you handle your guests and your interviews and your questioning and all of that is just something that's really needed now in a large group.
And my personality really makes it different. You know, it's not your normal conservative talk radio.
I just love every morning my husband has it on the radio, you know, on his phone, walking around. And I'm like, oh, wait, is it time to get up? Well, yep, it's Brian Rust. Let's go. So we go on our walk and we listen to it.
I get so many people that say that to me. You know, it's very rare that I'm actually not on the air. But whenever I'm not on the air, my social media blows up with my messengers. And people will email me and message me and be like, my day's not the same if I don't start off. So, I mean, it's kind of, again, it goes very back to that very humbling kind of experience.
So when you're out sick, there's not anybody that comes in your place and does your show?
No, we kind of grab a satellite feed. So, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, when we hear something like that, we're like, oh, where's Brian?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, I get that all the time. And actually, there's only been a couple of times when I've actually been sick and just didn't come in. And the messenger blows up.
That's nice, though. They miss you.
It is. It's neat. It's very neat.
Do you think they miss us?
Again,
we did for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, what do you think if you had a co-host like that?
I don't know. It'd be half a co-host, wouldn't it?
Well, this
half the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she comes in handy though. She's pretty nice to be around. So
sometimes.
Yeah. No, you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there somebody that's on your wish list to have on?
I got a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody that owns his own airplane and, you know, just got it repainted, and we're waiting an announcement on that one. Would be a very cool one.
Okay.
You know, we'll see what happens. I have some friends that have kind of put a buzz into his ear and talked with his people. So maybe we'll see.
His people.
Yeah. My people got in touch with his people.
Yeah.
So what about the governor?
You know, we're trying to get the governor on. You know, he's obviously been very busy.
Man, I'd love for you to get him on.
Me too. I would love to, because he's here in town all the time. So I'd love to actually get him in studio. But my problem is when I get him in studio, I generally don't let him out.
Oh,
I've had that happen. Like Congressman Dunn will come in and do a studio and be like, 30 minutes. And I don't let him out. Well,
you have so much to ask and so many questions and so many thoughts.
The time that he'll be there too.
Yeah.
So it'll be a matter of time before Ron DeSantis is on the show.
Oh, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, it'll be a good interview.
Well, good.
Shoot, you should have grabbed him while he's at Gulf Coast Jam.
You know what? I'm mad about this, and Mayor Sheldon is mad at me for it because I had VIP tickets, and I had other things I had going on that weekend, so I kind of regret it a little bit, but.
Yeah, maybe that would have been the time.
Yeah, it was the one thing that Mayor Sheldon was able to crack on me for. So.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. He'll find those things.
Yeah. Well, it's a fair turn because the two of us, when he's a lot of fun actually to have on.
He is.
Him and Griff are two of my favorite to have on because our personalities kind of shine a little bit, probably more than they should. It's going to get us in trouble one day.
We had Mark on, one of the first guests we had when we started the show, and at the end of the show, he goes, "Are there any other questions?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "We'll end with this question: when does your re-election campaign begin?" And he laughed. He goes, "Well, that was a great time, Rick. I appreciate it." He's like, "Didn't even go there."
Well, he probably enjoyed it in here a lot more because it's warmer. When he comes into the studio,
is it freezing in your office?
Oh, that studio is so cold.
Oh.
Yeah, and when there's not a lot up there to keep, he gets a little cold. So
we'll have to give him a beanie.
You need
That's a great idea.
Made Brian Rust.
I'm going to get a Brian Rush Show beanie just for him.
So.
Yes.
Yeah, so when he
make sure it has a big ball on top too.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy.
He sure is.
He's a good guy.
He can take all the ribbing and stuff, but he can also dish it out as well. So
Yeah, well, that's one of the problems with being in politics and being in elected office is that, we have a lot of local officials that are actually really good people, and I've got great relationships with a lot of them, but there will be people that no matter what, they will despise certain people just because of an issue or two.
Right.
Which, is kind of disturbing when it comes to politics. There's so many people that will find that one button that no matter how good somebody is, that one issue is the one thing. So, that gets disappointing sometimes.
Almost with any politician, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you always automatically have a group that hates you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for no reason, just the fact that
that's your party.
Yeah.
You're loved and you're hated automatically, and then there's everybody in between.
That's right. And then they make their decision based on certain issues or whatever, and that makes it make no sense sometimes. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come in today.
Well, thank you for having me in.
We, I love your show, and Shannon has spoken highly of you for a long time. So.
Good, the check cleared.
Yeah. Well, it took me a while to believe it, but I did my research too. So so we'd like to have you come back sometime and talk more about what,
especially that new business is going and the S word that you're throwing around.
Wow. I might be too big to deal with it at that time. I'll have to have my people contact
we know where your
you.
office is.
I'll have my people contact your people. So is there a timeline on that you're looking at, or?
You know what? What's weird about this industry is that things can happen in a flash, and sometimes it can be forever. Right. So
Well, I'm super excited. I mean, I'm telling you, now that you've heard the show, every morning you're going to, you don't have to have it on the radio station. You can play it on a podcast on your phone. Right. So when the radio station does have its problems or the weather, we could still get it on his podcast, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So now in your podcast, I know, do you go back and follow up with how many people are able to access it later? Or
I look at the statistics from time to time, and then it's impressive.
Yeah.
Good.
And
see, I'm glad we got him in here now versus,
Right.
Yeah, because then I had a hard time penciling you in and everything,
I mean, he wouldn't even reply probably, just then when he did, it's oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
No. Well, good deal. And also, we have mimosas this morning.
Yes.
That are brought to us by Anna with Hyatt.
Yes, that was so nice.
And
she knows how we are.
She does, so we appreciate that.
And we drank your first one.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah.
That's
we
sad.
were waiting for you, so we had to entertain ourselves.
Well, we actually cheered her for being late.
Yeah.
So
you guys got 5 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
And an extra mimosa.
That's true.
All right, fair deal.
Yeah.
All right, good. So maybe you need to be late for the next one, too.
Aren't I always?
No, sir.
Aren't I always?
No, you're always on time.
Oh, okay. We're going to go with that.
You believe that?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, good deal. Well, thank you again for
Thank
being
you,
with
guys.
us today. We appreciate it.
Check out Luxe Life Discovered on Facebook and Instagram and on 30a.tv. See you next time on Luxe Life Discovered.